Manu's here all the way from London. Can you tell Manu how to get to BC's diary? How to get to BC's diary? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition, the latest episode of BC's Dear Diary. Today, I have with me a very good friend of mine, all the way from London, Mr. Manu. Hello, Manu. How are you?
Hey, BC. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good. How is London? How is London?
Everything's fine. There's no pandemic or anything. We're all good here. You know, this is my normal stuff I wear every day. So yeah, it's all great.
Oh, really? That's good. That's good. That's good. Anyway,
Not really.
welcome to the
It's
show,
good to
Manu.
see
Man.
you.
Wow, how are you? How are you? How's everything? How's London?
It's good. The weather's been pretty good over here, actually. It's a little bit grey at the moment. I'm just sitting in the garden.
You mean your hair is grey or the weather is grey?
Yeah, both. My hair was grey. I had no grey hair before I moved to Asia, so you can tell what happened as a result of living in Asia.
All right. Speaking about Asia and living in Asia, I got a question. I've been wondering this for the longest time. You are obviously an Indian who's also a Brit. You grew up. You were born and grew up in Ghana. You came to Southeast Asia. You speak like Angmo. Hey, what exactly are you?
Confused. I guess everything. I am British. Let's get that first started out. That's who I consider to be my home country and all of that. But you're absolutely right. I've had a bit of a revolving scenario around the world, and my family sort of like had given me the opportunities to live in other countries as well. So I guess that's why I jumped at the idea of living in Asia as well when it came up for me all those years ago. So yeah, I am British, but I feel I'm a global citizen.
Okay, speaking about global citizen, I understand that you've been in Singapore for a while and then you moved to Malaysia.
Yeah.
And then you came back and then you went back to London again. So how's everything in London right now?
London's good. We're just in the process of moving back to our actual residence. But we're getting some work done there at the moment, so hopefully not too long. So we're in temporary accommodation right now.
Anyway, I don't really care about London. I want to know more about tell me more about your stay in Singapore and Malaysia. How was it? I mean, how Malaysia and Singapore?
Well, of course, I had the highlight for me was meeting you, BC. But no, I think my wife and I were absolutely. We'll look back with such fond memories. We've made so many wonderful friends in both countries, and it was quite sad when we had to go, but we had made the decision never to come back to our home, and that we made that decision even at the start of our journey to Singapore initially, and then eventually Malaysia. It's sad that we didn't get a chance to say goodbye to everybody because of the world we live in right now. But I really, really enjoyed it. I think we got to see much more of Southeast Asia. We traveled around quite a bit. I went for work purposes, and I went to different countries around there. Our highlights in particular were New Zealand, Australia, but Thailand, Bali, Vietnam was great. All these different countries, and because the journey time was far less than had it been coming from the UK. So that was great. And then, I think, made many good friends who will still remain lifelong friends. The other highlight for me was connecting with both the Malaysia and Singapore Spurs fans. And when I first left the UK, a lot of the season ticket holders here, we have a love-hate relationship with the club, as many people do. and there was, it felt for a while there was a drag to go and watch them at the stadium and everything else. And I was absolutely blown over how committed all the Singaporeans as well as the Malaysian fans were. I remember going to Andrew's place in 1882. Well, before 1882, the one he had before that, and all the memorabilia he has around there and everything else. I also remember coming with you, BC, and the others to watch Spurs at various venues and everything else. And then one of the great highlights for me was coming when they did the first trip to Malaysia back in 2015. And we had all the Asian supporters groups come around from Thailand, from Indonesia, from Vietnam, etc. They all came, Hong Kong, they all came. And it was just wonderful to see so many of people who live so far away. You probably get once in a chance lifetime to go and visit the stadium, and absolutely loving the opportunity to go and see their heroes live. And I was blown away by that. I was so humbled by that experience. It really made me think how grateful I should be to be even a season ticket holder, as well as getting the opportunity to hang around with you guys.
Yeah. Speaking of that, about going to the stadium to watch the game and meeting our heroes, I mean, thanks to you, I was in London a couple of years ago. So you actually brought me to the pre-game tour. We managed to meet Chatley, Vertonghen, Dembele. I mean, do you realize that after meeting them, I mean, after they met me, Dembele actually became a very good player?
It took a while, but yes, he did. Yeah, it wasn't instantaneous, but yeah.
My magic normally takes a couple of months, couple of years, but talking about your being a season ticket holder, we all know that anyone that knows you know that you are a season ticket holder for quite some time already. Maybe you can share with us how did this whole love for Tottenham begin?
So I think a lot of people know this story as well, but my middle brother, who's a few years older to me, was a mad Spurs fan, and I used to, when I was young, I used to say to my dad, "Can he take me to go and watch football? I don't care." I sort of had a liking in those days, and I've admitted this in other groups, to Liverpool at that time.
What?
But I said, yeah, I know it's a shock, I know. But then don't forget, BC, this was the early 80s, and Liverpool was winning everything. Sadly, it's funny how it's turned full circle even now. Yeah, so I said to my dad, I just want to go and watch a football game, please. And then my dad took me to go and see England play an international at the old Wembley Stadium when I was about 8 or 9 years old. And that's where my love for football, and obviously playing football at school at that time as well. But my brother took me to my very first game, and it blows me away even thinking about it, was the 1984 UEFA Cup final. At White Hart Lane, which everybody knows we actually won on penalties. And I remember hearing the noise. I was in the shelf, which is the old East Stand in the old stadium, and I couldn't see a damn thing. I couldn't see a damn thing during the match. Everybody was crowding up. It was in those days. It was all standing. There was no seats and everything else. But I remember the passion and everybody cheering on. And I just thought, this was great. This is just absolutely, you can't buy this sort of stuff. You can't buy this experience. And it was so overwhelming for me at that time. I was a very impressionable 13-year-old at the time. And for me, that's where the love affair really started. But it took me a few years later afterwards, after I sort of finished my education and started working, then I started to get my proper season ticket. And that started actually under the ENIC era in Glen Hoddle. That's when I first had my season ticket. So around about the beginning of 2000. And then I also had an away season ticket. So I used to go to all the away games all around the country at that time as well. So I had that for a couple of years. But then when I got married, I still kept my domestic season ticket, but I gave up my away season ticket because obviously you can't sort of like take it too far. But yeah, no, I loved going down there and loved watching the games with all these guys and talking about Tottenham, and and you know, it was an up and down period as well. You know, there was, you know, we had all the trouble in the early 90s with the club, and then Alan Sugar sort of rescued it, and we then went on to win a few domestic trophies, but we weren't doing very well in the league. So yeah, it's been, being a Spurs fan has never been about being the glory and all of that. I tell you.
I hate to stop you there, but I got a question. Yeah. You mentioned Alan Sugar.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you have been a Spurs fan for the last 3,000 years.
Yeah. Feels so, like it.
You have seen managers come and go. Yeah. You have seen players come and go. You have seen fans go. And then and of course you have seen.
That's very good.
You have seen owners and chairmen.
I think I know where you're going with this, but yeah. So anybody who knows me will know this is a bit of an interesting discussion point, and I have some strong views on this point. There's one thing I will say about the current ownership and ENIC and Levy and everything. I think it is, without a shadow of a doubt, they're commercially brilliant. They've been great for us in that space. And yes, it's great to have this new stadium. But my fundamental issue has always been, and especially in the last few years, I've been a season ticket holder effectively since ENIC have taken over the club. And we've had ups and downs. We had, I think this is our 9th manager now with Mourinho. Correct me if I'm wrong. And one of the big issues I have is squad investment in that time. And I trusted Levy was sort of doing what he should be doing in terms of steering the club to give the support to the managers and to the players and everything else. But we live in a very interesting times in terms of football, because money does have a huge influence, like it or not. And that's one of the things I've always disliked since the invention of the Premier League. That it's all about how much capacity you have to spend. So on the one side, I do understand his financial discipline, where I am absolutely annoyed about, and I think it's time for either somebody within ENIC to become the new chairman or somebody else. But it's difficult at this period because of COVID-19. But I don't think Levy has really understood what player investment and player management has to be about. And we've lost one of, sadly, last year, or this season, in fact, we lost a great talent, and he gave the warning that we need to invest, and the investment came too late. We did buy some good players, but it should have been a lot earlier than it did. And when I saw what happened when we sold Bale, and we got the 7 sisters, effectively, that money, that's where my frustration started to happen. And I think that one of the things, I know that was also done in conjunction with Baldini and others at the club, AVB and etc. But I think it's time that if Levy is serious about player investment, with that new stadium, he could have done a lot more, a lot earlier. And I'm frustrated by that because we've lost the golden opportunity. And the other thing I think is interesting, Liverpool and us were virtually when
Liverpool fans call
but Liverpool, when Poch came to the club, us and Liverpool in terms of the league were virtually the same. Now everybody says Liverpool have more revenue and all of that. The thing is, they also actually took on the player management side of it far more seriously. And that's one of the things that's impressed me, especially when they lost to Real Madrid in the Champions League. They went out and they spent so much money almost straight afterwards to replace the key players that they wanted to replace. And they spent a lot of money, agreed. Perhaps the revenues there helped. But I don't believe in this. The thing is, we know the club is going to do well. So why hold back? Why wait for the revenue streams to come? You know you're going to get that money. You know that COVID-19 is eventually going to disappear. Otherwise, you wouldn't have invested all that money in building that stadium. So do it now. Get us there. Close the gap. Narrow it. There's been so many players we could have got and helped us. And I think now it's a huge exercise in catching up. We are where we are. We have to accept where we are. But the gap, potentially, if we don't get the players that we need or Mourinho wants, the gap's going to get wider. And that's I don't know what to expect next season, to be very honest.
Bro, speaking about player investments,
yeah.
Who do you think, what position do you think we need to reinforce this? Let's say, okay, if it's up to you, let's be realistic. We have to be realistic here.
Yeah.
Who do you think we should sign?
I mean, to be honest, BC, here's the issue. The Levy profile purchase of a player is a young player, maybe under the age of 23, a growing talent, and somebody hopefully who's got experience in the EPL, and they're going to be expensive as well.
Let's say in the perfect scenario, let's say Levy is willing to give Jose the money to buy whoever he needs to improve the squad. If there's one player and one position, who do you think we need?
Well, sadly, I think this will never happen, but we need a Van Dijk type of centre-back. I think that's the first thing. And then we need a Trent, we need a right-back as well.
Like Trent are not?
Huh?
Like Alessandro, Trent are not?
Yeah, like TTA. So I don't know if anybody, I mean, I saw Max Aarons, and I'm not sure. Yes, he ticks some boxes, but I'm not sure he's the solution. We definitely need a backup to Aurier. Obviously, there's discussions going on about Hojbjerg from Southampton at the moment. Yeah. So if we get him, possibly that's a good one. But they're not going to. What we need is, if we get especially if we get Europa, we're going to have such a congested fixture list going into next season as well. So we need depth, and that's the one thing we have been sadly lacking. I'd like to see some younger, the academy players coming through. So we've got a few of them. Skip is starting to make an appearance in a couple of games. We've also been plagued with injuries. I don't know why. I mean, even when I was in the 90s, we had Sino, Darren Anderton, and all of those sort of scenarios as well. But we do need at least one.
It was amazing. I mean, I haven't stopped smiling since.
I don't know. I think Abramovich has got some of his Russian friends to hack this because we were talking about transfers. So maybe he's trying to get some inside information. I don't know. You can never trust these.
All right. You were talking about these players that comes in. You know, I'm starting to think. You know, I'm starting to think about something. This suddenly comes out. You know, you were nearly a Liverpool fan. You admire the
Don't
Liverpool
even go there. Don't even go there. The amount of money I've spent on those.
Anyway, just to let you know, friends of Manu, if you are ever going to London, please, the tube, the public transport is not too bad. Don't ever. No, not as good as Singapore, but don't ever hop into this person's car because this person don't believe. This man over here don't believe in one-way traffic. Okay, I was in his car in London. He was driving against the traffic, so the car in the proper direction came towards us. He wind down his window and asked the person to go away so they can go through. Then I was in Malaysia.
I really like how you edit the facts here. I really love that. That's great. Yeah. I should use, if I have ever a car accident, I'm going to use you in my insurance claim. You know that.
I'll just tell the loss adjuster. Oh, I'm not surprised. This guy's a horrible driver, man. You know, people always say that Asians are horrible driver. I think deep down inside you are Asian.
I am Asian. I'm not going to deny it. You're absolutely right.
Anyway, before we end this show, once again, I mean, it's broad daylight in London right now, so I think it's morning. Yeah. So I hope that everyone's at your household, your wife stays safe. Everyone stay safe. Wear your mask for goodness sake. And nice mask, by the way. I mean, the world is in a different.
I wonder who got that for me. And also thanks to Yusuf as well, our mutual friend.
Shout out. So, I mean, the world is in a different place right now. Football aside, take a back seat. I wish everyone stay safe. Remember, wash your hands. Don't touch people's face. We have to really stay safe and be kind to each other. Recently, there's so many cancel culture, online bullying, cyber bullying, all these things popping out. I think all of us should just love each other and care for each other. Even if you don't like the person, you don't have to be nasty to him. So with that said, Manu, thank you so much once again for joining me in this latest episode of BC's Dear Diary. Gents, just remember to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel right now. And from all of us here, from Kevin the Minion, from Daniel Levy, we would like to thank everyone. From Manu, thank everyone for joining us today. With that, stay safe, goodbye, and see you next episode. Thank you, Manu.
Take care, BC, and all the best to my friends in Singapore as well. I hope you're all safe and we hope we can see each other again sometime soon. Take care, guys.
You can just fly back.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know it was that easy. All right, thanks for that.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.